It started on a Wednesday morning. Nora was 68 years old, sitting in her doctor's office with a scarf wrapped loosely around her shoulders and a quiet kind of calm that comes with age. The checkup was routine. Her blood pressure was slightly elevated. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming. Then the doctor said it, almost offhandedly without looking up from the screen. "You really need to start putting yourself first more. At your age, stress is more dangerous than anything else." Nora smiled politely. She nodded. She understood. But if the doctor had known what she would hear just a few hours later, he might have prescribed something for that kind of pain too. Later that afternoon, she met her grown daughter Emily for coffee, a simple catch-up, nothing heavy, just conversation and cappuccinos. But somewhere between "how's work" and "did you talk to Aunt Denise lately?" Emily sighed and said, "Honestly, Mom, you were never really there for me." Nora froze. It wasn't loud, it wasn't shouted, but it was sharp, cold, like a paper cut to the soul. She stirred her coffee slowly, didn't know what to say. She wanted to defend herself, to remind her daughter of the 2 jobs she worked, the nights she came home bone-tired but still cooked dinner, the mornings she showed up for parent-teacher conferences with barely 3 hours of sleep. But she stayed quiet, because love does that sometimes. Nora didn't sleep that night. She lay awake thinking about what the doctor said earlier that day. Put yourself first. What did that even look like after nearly 7 decades of being everyone else's rock? It made her reflect, not just on what her daughter had said, but on how she said it. It wasn't the first time she'd felt dismissed. In recent years, she'd heard plenty. "You wouldn't understand. You're just being dramatic. No one asked for your opinion." They weren't always shouted, but they were felt. They lingered, and suddenly Nora saw it for what it really was. Not just hurtful words, but patterns, a slow erosion of dignity. And she realized something. The pain from her daughter's words hurt more than anything the doctor could diagnose. This isn't a story about giving up on your children. It's about learning to stop giving up on yourself. Because Nora's story? It's one many elderly parents carry in silence. Moments where love gets tangled with guilt, where sacrifice is forgotten, where respect quietly disappears. Over the next few weeks, Nora began noticing more. Not just what Emily said, but what she didn't. She never said thank you. She never asked how Nora was really doing. And when Nora tried to offer guidance, just a small piece of motherly advice, Emily would roll her eyes or wave her off with, "I didn't ask." Nora started to feel like a guest in her own family, invisible, optional, useful only when needed. She remembered something else the doctor said that day. Emotional well-being in your 60s and 70s is just as critical as your physical health. Don't let anyone drain you. And Nora realized she had been drained. Now, this isn't about blaming children. Emily had her struggles, her stress. She wasn't cruel on purpose, but Nora had spent years walking on eggshells, brushing off the comments, the eye rolls, the guilt trips. She kept the peace, but lost her peace of mind. One morning she sat down with her journal. She didn't write to vent, she wrote to remember. She wrote, "I showed up. I gave my best. I loved her fiercely. I wasn't perfect, but I was present." Tears blurred her vision as she wrote the last line, "I don't deserve to feel ashamed of how I loved." And that's when Nora made a decision. Not a dramatic announcement. No arguments or confrontations. She simply started choosing herself. She said no to things she didn't want to do. She didn't pick up every phone call. She stopped over-explaining her choices. She spoke kindly, but firmly. When Emily made a passive-aggressive comment at lunch one Sunday, Nora smiled gently and replied, "I'm not going to carry guilt that doesn't belong to me anymore." There was silence. Emily blinked. Something shifted. It wasn't easy. It wasn't instant. But it was necessary. Here's the truth. Nora wishes she had learned earlier, and maybe it's something someone out there needs to hear today. Being a parent doesn't mean accepting pain without limits. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect because they're family. Love is not a debt. Respect is not optional. If your child only calls when they need something, if they weaponize your age or your past, if they make you feel small, unheard, or unimportant, it's okay to take a step back. Not because you're done loving them, but because you're ready to love yourself again. Nora didn't stop being a mother. She stopped being a martyr. And slowly, something beautiful happened. She felt lighter. She slept better. Her laughter returned, not forced, not polite, but real. And though Emily didn't change overnight, something about Nora's quiet strength began to reshape their relationship. Because when you stop allowing disrespect, you teach others how to love you better, and more importantly, you remind yourself of your worth. So if you've ever been in Nora's shoes, sitting across from someone you raised, hearing words that cut deeper than they know, let this be your gentle nudge. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say, "That hurt me, and I won't carry it anymore." Because aging isn't about fading into the background. It's about stepping into wisdom. It's about reclaiming your space in the world with grace, strength, and self-respect. If Nora's story resonates with you, you're not alone. Leave a comment below. Your story might help someone else find their voice. And if this message brought you clarity, peace, or just a bit of strength, give it a like and subscribe to Aging is a Blessing. This is a space for stories that heal, for voices that matter, no matter your age. You've earned your peace. You've earned your voice. Now it's time to use it. Stay strong, stay kind. And remember, aging is not a burden, it's a blessing. We'll see you in the next video.